No, I think it's always good to introduce ourselves as well as them to us. So with that, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and this is the City Work Session for Minnetrista, October 16th, 2023. First order of business is I will make introductions. I'm Lisa Whalen. I'm the mayor. Council members present are Kathleen Refkin, Ann McGregor, Peter Vickery, Claudia Lacey, and then staff present, our Director of Public Safety, Gary Peters, and Ali Paulfus is our Director of Administration, Public Works. Oh, sorry. What did I say?
I got promoted, I guess.
I've had a long day already. I hope it doesn't get worse from here on out.
Wait to see who you are.
And then our new city clerk, Ann Meyerhoff, and correct, I got that right. And then we have Jasper Krugel, our city administrator, Brian Grimm, our finance director, and then Sarah Sensala with Kennedy and Graven, our city attorney. So with that, we have a couple of things. We have our water fund budget follow-up discussion. We'll be talking about the recycling fund budget, and then our cable fund budget, and then we're going to do a closed session. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Brian.
All right. Thanks, Mayor and Council. So back, I think, in September, one of the meetings then, we had looked at the original water fund, and we're projecting at the time, an 8% increase. But we were like, well, let's see where our revenue came in for third quarter, and we were hoping. I mean, I guess to set the stage, the usage did go down, so that's good. That's a good start. Probably not as much as we would have thought, but some of it was. So our overall revenue for third quarter, when you compare to year over year, is relatively close. But we did have the changes we made to the rates, as well as we keep adding properties, as well as we did make even the change to the commercial rates. We blended the schools into it, and I think even in the schools bill, we actually heard from them, and they did go up, by a decent amount based on the for the football field and everything, or I should say, my daughter plays soccer, so I should say soccer field too, or whatever. But so for various factors, our revenue pretty much stayed the same quarter over quarter, but I think our usage probably went down 8-10% or so. So I think it's at least a start. It was a relatively dry summer, obviously still, the drought, severe drought, different areas we sort of went in and out of until it finally got rainier this fall. So, but based on that, we did end up probably having about a $350,000 positive variance to our revenue. We were hoping maybe the usage would go down more, 20-30% or so, and obviously when it didn't, I guess the only real positive is the additional revenue, but that's obviously based on people's personal choices and what they decide to irrigate, and we can give the guidance and send out the conservation information and do the additional water reads, which we did all of that, this summer, and people can make their best decisions based on the information they received. So ultimately, I guess now what we're able to react to then is, I guess from first blush, after digesting that information, I think we can, back down our rates by probably at least a couple percent, that increase to 6% probably. That would be similar to what they went up this past year. I know one thing that was talked about that I've looked at preliminarily, I guess wanted to get the council's direction first, or full direction. I know with the sewer we talked about last time, increasing the connection rates and to lower the increase a little bit, and whether we want to use that same philosophy here. The only thing that can get a little challenging is all of a sudden if you don't hit 75 connections and you hit 40 or something, then there's that component too. So I guess
a magic number? How many connections would you have to have in order to lower it by 1%?
We base pretty much the study on averaging 75 connections a year. So if we hit that, then you can just play with the revenue. Instead of making the connection charge go from $3,300 to $3,500, you can maybe go to $3,700 and make up, maybe lower another percent, go to 5% or something. But if it doesn't hit the 75,
but we've had more than 75 in 9 years in a row. So I'm not that concerned. We've been averaging more like 100.
No, and we seem to be immune from the interest rates, and or I don't know how, or if that's the right term, or we've been performing well still, even based on what you think other communities are seeing with the housing market. So as long as we're confident with that, that 75, based on that, we could, pretty much make an assumption that if we wanted to lower, we could, increase those connections.
And you know what, if at this time next year we're not at 75, then we can adjust it.
Correct. Yeah, we can basically make mid-year adjustments if needed. So, I would just want to run the numbers and play around and work with the creator of the study a little bit, if to be able to, say if the council would like to maybe see that number more at 4 or 5% or something.
What does that do long term, like in 2025 and then 2026? Because if we're still projecting 14 and 19% in those years, I'd rather keep the current ones at 6 or 8 so that it's not 14 and 19 coming up. I don't know what it does to
a couple things.
Charges.
For one, I think these numbers, the 14 and 19%, were based on an $18 million project, and I think they've scaled that back now to what, $14 million.
No, these numbers were actually based on. I scaled these back already. This is based on more than 10 to 12. Yeah, the 18 million would have looked worse, or more horrible.
Okay. The other thing we don't know yet is if we're going to get any money from other sources.
Correct, because that hasn't been included or seen or whatever.
So that's the other unknown at this point. We hopefully will know next year whether we're going to get any bonding money and how much it would be if we get any. And there is going to be a bonding year. There is going to be a bonding year next year. That's what I've been told.
Well, it sounds like from Andrew, if we get on the bonding tour, then we're more likely. So if we don't get on the bonding tour,
we are on the bonding tour.
We set a date.
Yep. And in fact, we shouldn't mention.
We were going to mention that tonight during announcements, but the cat's out of the bag. It's November 14th at like 3:30.
And he'll send out an email.
So it's not. They're not visiting our site. We just have time allocated for our project when they're in Excelsior. So
a whole bunch of cities
Better than-
are going to be in Excelsior, and then you'll have like 5 minutes. We'll have like 5 minutes, whatever, to do a presentation, and then so we'll want to make some kind of a real good impression, a memorable impression.
What number is factored in for not having the school district using the water, in the next years?
As far as
if they're doing their own well.
For that one, I think we've already factored that in as basically into the equations or whatever.
How much of a hit, or because as I understand, they're our biggest user.
But I think they're and Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, their main account is still on. I mean, for the fields. I mean, I know for their fields and stuff. Is that still going to be on city water or no? Like the.
I think there's only going to be a little bit that's going to be on city water. Most of it will be on their own well.
Okay, so that will be okay. So they weren't quite on it for this.
Well, the only one thing that'll be is their practice soccer field across the street. I think is going to be on, but everything else will be their main football field and all that's all going to be on that well.
Weren't they already switched over for this summer though? Yeah. So this year's numbers were for it. So there's just the one addition.
Yeah, they switched over. I think mid to late summer they switched over already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they were using their own well. Whatever I was emailing you, the sprinklers going off during the day.
Yeah, but they're still using across the street on by the tower over there. That's
right
because they
To
go
got to try to get under the road somehow. They haven't figured out.
But I think some of that was offset by. I know when I talked with Renee, one of their accounts last year, the bill was $20,000 third quarter. This year was $40,000. So I think with we obviously adjusted the commercial and school tier. So I think there's some offset, I guess, from.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
it's probably the soccer field area that they have over there that is still on our water.
Okay, because I knew there
but
was
the
still an
school
account
itself is on our water.
Yeah, everything on would be.
It's just the
south
irrigation.
side of there.
It's just the
But
irrigation.
yeah, you have all
all the buildings.
the whole school and buildings. Yes, they're all still on, but it's just irrigation isn't.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Except for the north side is all on ours yet.
Yeah. So if anything, it might be more of a wash because I think when we looked at it last year, I think the total school accounts were like 50,000, and I know the one bill they got was almost double this year, so it'll probably be not too big a factor one way or another. So
I'd be concerned, about two things. One is if we do a real modest increase this coming year, that then we're going to have this radical jump. I mean, we know we're going to be spending more in the, say, 2025 and 26. and also kind of trying to modify behavior. I mean, we've got a good start, but I think, if we raise the rates more on an even keel over like next year, so say it's in that 6 or 8% or maybe higher range, that'll keep people thinking about, hey, I got to, watch this and not spend or use as much water. So,
Well, there is, definitely some merit to that argument, because then hopefully, even if there is additional revenue there is this year, then maybe next year's, and AE2S is going to talk about the water timeline, because that's going to obviously play a factor is when we have to bond and all that, or what financing sources we have and all that. But I mean, if we have additional revenue, then maybe the 14 becomes hopefully 10 or 12, or 9 or 10 or 12 or something. So there is, I think
Again,
most
there's
people.
still a lot of stuff up in the air. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of
So there's a couple different ways
Yeah.
almost to look at it, I guess. Or,
right, even if, say, we're lucky we get some of the bonding, I don't think it's going to cover everything.
Yeah.
that's
no,
happening.
it won't cover it.
At
Yeah.
all.
So we
Make up
could
for it.
always, say, back off on the increases later if, say, we do get some support from the state.
Well, and to that point, like, what is the ultimate, I guess, user charges goals that we want? Do we want to have 2 million each year? Like, what is the goal number that we want?
Oh, as far like what revenue amount do we want to?
Yeah.
Get to. I mean, you can see by obviously you keep adding projected connections. So we hit 2025, 2026, somewhere in that period we hit the the $2 million mark, and then our debt service in some of those out years goes up more. So we got to cover some of those type items. So that's the hard part is obviously we have more revenue, but we have more potential debt service. So.
I mean, I don't know if Jasper asked if you have your Excel calculator in there. If we only do like 5% this year, what does that mean towards getting to the necessary amounts in the future? Like, are we gonna just have to do bigger instead of doing like, let's say 7% this year, and then if we do get money, then we can just do another 7% increase versus the 14 or whatever. So, in my opinion, since I'm on the water, I would see a more level than lowering it next year and then jumping even more next year if we don't get the grant money.
Sure.
Yeah.
I really don't want to do a 19% increase 1 year. I'd rather do 7
No,
for
yeah.
3 years in a row, or stagger it more that way.
But it could rain a lot.
It could, and then
And
I'd rather pay less. I mean, money in your pocket is better than not.
Well, that's one thing. I think we really haven't discussed. I mean, I think some of the years. I mean, if we all of a sudden get a rainy summer, these revenue numbers could be cut by 30%.
Right.
Already. I mean, so they could be back down to 1.2 versus 1.86 or 1.8 or something. So,
But we know we'll need the money
Yeah.
in the next couple of years.
Yeah. I don't know. I think anywhere between a 6 and 8%. Most people understand with the infrastructure improvements we've made already and have to do in the future. I think it's been pretty publicized that we have another water treatment plant coming down the road and stuff. So, I mean,
okay.
is that
It also seems like we should look at the connection fees.
so? Maybe
I agree with
look at
that.
Because, I mean, that's driving the
Right.
demand for water.
Right.
And so.
For
it seems
infrastructure.
like more of the burden should be on the
Connections.
new.
so maybe a
new
7% for the or 6, 7 for the. I guess I don't know.
7%.
7%, and then look
Okay,
at
and then-
maybe
and then
going
raising,
with the
still raising the
connection fees.
connection
We're paying
fees.
like 3,500, but maybe go from 3,300 to like 3,700
Yeah,
or something. Or
yeah.
does that sound
Right.
good? To do that.
Yeah, I don't think a one-time connection fee of even if it's 37 versus 32 or 33 is going to make a big difference when you're buying a house.
No.
A few $100s. I mean, yeah.
No, I mean
No,
that's
there's
just
roll-
obviously part of the
Right.
permit and
Right.
everything. So.
But we will have to talk about the apartment building.
Yes,
and with
yeah.
the connection fees, all of the homes the Woodland Cove homes, are they locked into the old rate or are they the new rate?
So there is, and yeah, David and Nick would know that better, but I think there's certain phases were locked in, but anything new, the newer ones have to pay the the 3,700 whatever we set. But I don't know if it was, and some of those got to almost be built out. I mean, I think was it fourth was the last
I think
one
it was
to
the
have
fourth. I went through four. I think the rest of them now are on the newer
Yeah,
plan.
so we got to be where almost all of them are paying the
I mean, yeah, it
full
would be
rate or
pretty
whatever.
hard to hold us to a 10. I mean, that was approved back in 2011 or 2012.
Yeah.
Now you're talking.
I think there isn't really many
12,
lots
13 years
left in 1 through 4, is
No,
there?
there's
Is there any?
Yeah.
Or no?
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
no.
So I think that's mainly been
Okay.
Okay.
a moot point now or whatever.
Okay.
So, and then yeah, to the mayor's point, I think we'll bring that back to a future. I mean, I think we're still the apartments, what to do with that. And I think we know they won't probably come online more towards, I don't know, is it end of next year probably, Gary? Or
That's what we're assuming. Probably not till fall.
but it will, yeah,
It might even be 25,
yeah.
but
But I think we do want to. I know we talked more with David and Nick. I think we're just pulling together a little more information as far as what other students is our first apartment complex. But that could obviously, if we say they're residential versus commercial versus some other tier, I guess. I know we've consolidated from 3 to 2. So whether we want to try to have them fit one of the other 2 tiers or whether it makes sense to do, and then we'll have to look at. I think when at that same discussion we'll look at for sewer and stuff, and because there's some different.
But I still think when we talk about the apartment, and I could be wrong, that we need to charge them on a per unit basis for connection.
And we did.
Just because,
We collected that already.
yeah,
Yep, yep.
because it's infrastructure that we need to provide every unit. So,
Yep.
yeah.
And they will have one meter, not
Yeah.
148. So they have one central meter, so it'll be divided up amongst
Yeah.
those
residents just
apartments.
pay
The
a-
residents will pay that in their
flat
rent.
rate
So,
for their rent,
Into
yeah.
their
but we'll have to
yeah.
figure out exactly how we're going to actually charge them. So
Right.
because I consider an apartment is going to be similar to a house. When you're going to have
Oh, you're
same,
good.
same one. You got washer dryers, you got dishwashers, you got people showering, bathing, and stuff like that. So
There's a lot that you're not doing in an apartment. I mean, you're not cleaning your deck. You're not cleaning your siding. You're not cleaning you're not watering your yard. That's probably a separate meter, I would assume.
yeah, that'll all
So-
be separate. But so it all has to be looked at.
Yeah.
How do you compare it to a house? And
Right.
it's very similar in a lot of ways, but
Yeah.
All
All right.
communities must have experience.
That's what we're going to have to
Yeah.
probably point at or look to because they are, I guess, similar yet different. I guess for lack
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
for the most part, you're right. You don't have the outdoor stuff, but you have all the indoor stuff's the same.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. All right. So we're agreed 7% and raising the connection fees and
Yep.
okay.
So we'll do the 3,700 there, and maybe we'll just do that same percent to the area charge that we're doing for the connection charge, whatever 3,700 divided by 3,300 is, or we'll do that same. I don't know if we have any what our area charges will look like for the next. That's obviously on just new development or whatever, new plats. We get collect that. So.
Yeah, it's not that much. I mean, in the near future anyway.
No, at anything
Okay.
coming down the pike really. So.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So then.
Recycling.
Recycling. So recycling. I think everyone knows, or maybe if they don't. So we're in our sort of in the middle of our contract with Waste Management we entered into in 2020. So I guess we're 3 years in. About got 2 years left, which I guess there's pros and cons of having. Being locked in. We've got our set rate increases, and last time back in 2020, the rates between the two contracts really were a big jump. So that's why we've tried to do more of a phased spend down to the fund balance we had, and know that we're basically subsidizing a little bit because we would have had to make some larger increases to the utility fee, I guess the quarterly fee. And so if you on page 8 there, I've got I ran a couple different options depending on what people feel comfortable for a cash balance or fund balance, and I think option 1, the lower increase, is still probably fine. But you can see some of the cost per contract per month, goes from $557 to $579, and then you sort of make that on a quarterly basis and an annual basis times the number of households we have. And then you can see right now our quarterly rate is $13 a quarter. So I guess I would recommend going to $14 a quarter, $1 increase for the year, $4 for $1 for the quarter, $4 for the year annually. It still takes advantage of some of the fund balance we had in the fund, and we're planning on spending down, so it's not a surprise that, when it's not cash flowing yet, and I guess we'll have to see once that contract comes around in 2025, maybe the recycling market will be a lot better. I doubt it, but it seems like no one wants to take it anymore, I guess, or I think that's the issue, or as far as the disposing it or whatever the landfills or whatever you call it or wherever it all goes or what can be recycled versus what needs to be disposed of, I guess, or I know China and stuff, or some of them from talking to the vendor and stuff that used to be a better international market and stuff, and that's all sort of changed. And so, I don't know, does anyone have any questions when it comes to recycling? Looks like Ann maybe does,
yeah,
right?
Jasper and I had a long talk today because at this point, I'm only annoyed. The cost, the recycling service charge, is going up and up and up and up. And it's something that the state encourages it and insists that the counties and the cities offer the access. But the residents have no choice. And that's like saying you have no choice about whether you're trash pickup or no choice. And how I came to this was I called to get this taken off for 6 months because and so I was told, no, you have to pay it. Now, the odds of me hiring a lawyer for $13 a quarter is pretty zero.
Right, I would think, right?
So, and the fact that we have to have it. And Jasper did an excellent job of working with me to try to get to the bottom of what can be done. And I have come to the conclusion that nothing can be done.
Well done, Jasper.
Regarding avoiding paying the recycling fee
Yeah.
quarterly, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Because
are we, to Ann's point, are we charged for every household whether they pick up the recycle or not?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yep,
so
that's the way
that's
the
the
contract's
issue.
structured.
See,
Yep.
that's the issue. It's not so much that, it's not that we're being bad for charging you. It's they're being bad for charging us,
Yeah.
the
No,
city,
and that's the
even
point.
if they don't pick up
Yeah.
the
That's a
recycle.
public point I want to make. Because the argument goes above us.
Yeah, and you're not the first one to bring
I
that
don't know
up.
who
We've
fi-
heard
I don't know
that.
who fights that.
Yeah.
Because in reality, that shouldn't be.
Right. If you're out of the country for 6 months or
You
in
should-
Florida,
And again, I
Because you
have-
can call your garbage hauler, say, I'm gonna,
That's
I don't
what
want my
did.
garbage yet.
Within 5
Yeah.
minutes, done.
yeah.
Right.
But I can't do this.
Yeah.
So it's annoying, and like I said, there's not a lot I can do about it. But something should be done. Somehow this should come up for the future, especially since when you take a look at these costs that are escalating from 146 to 189 in 3 years, where's it going to go from there? And these are being, foisted is the best word, but they're being put on us. Something should be done. I don't know what to do. I'm not.
And every county has it.
Right.
So some counties put it on your property taxes, other counties or cities do it like this. So like in Cass County where we have our cabin, guess what? We get to pay $60 a year for recycling.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and some cities just blend it right into their property tax, the same type of thing. They just add it into their overall budget, and then whether you use it or not, you're paying your property taxes for that portion. So this, if anything, is a little more transparent because you've got the number of accounts and what Waste Management's charging us, and then what we're collecting in a utility revenue. So, and yeah, we definitely don't have 100% participation or whatever.
So I don't understand. I understand why this is legal. I do
You
not
can't.
understand
So
why this is
residents
legal.
can't just opt out of
Right.
recycling. Like you can't.
No, you can't. You can't.
Yeah.
And you should be able to. So
illegal.
how can this possibly be legal?
I've got a list of more things.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. No, just regarding how can this be legal?
But there's also the issue of when you pay property taxes in another county. For instance, we pay property taxes in Cass County, and we pay more taxes than the people that are residents there. And guess what? We don't get to vote there. So,
That's
you know,
not okay either.
I know it's not. I mean, I've said that many times. That's, yeah. But anyhow,
So I can state statute dictates that this is required.
Yeah.
So it's 115A in that section, if you look it up. And that basically assigns the duty of collecting these fees to the county and to the cities and other municipal agencies. So it starts from the top and works its way. It's all part of the goal, I think, to have, it's like 75% waste reduction.
I saw it. I
Yeah,
read it.
yeah, so
I
that's-
researched it and read it, and I get it. It's just that I don't have warm and fuzzies about the actual what's happening with recycling. That's number one. Number two, I don't like being forced to do something, especially when I'm not using it. So it's a higher level discussion. I don't want to waste our time here, but I am annoyed about it.
Duly noted.
Noted. Yeah. All right. So $1. So
Yeah,
you don't want to. You don't want to do $1.
Go for it. Do what you have to do.
I'm fine with the dollar. Just what? How much do we want to keep spending down the fund
Yeah,
before
yeah.
we have to start raising it again? Yes.
Yeah. That's, I guess, yeah, a good question as far as, obviously this option one has it going down to about 80,000 at the end of next year, and then the following year would be about 44,000. The raising it a little higher on page 2 or page 9 of the packet, option 2, brings it to like.
But we don't really need a fund balance in.
Not too much or whatever. It's not so much like other funds where we actually have like locked in. We have a locked in contract, and we're still. We're lucky we have a little bit of fund balance to be able to spend down, but there's nothing really. I think like a policy type, obviously, that we have internally, or even at some point, if we get down to 20 or 30, then is it, or if it goes to 0, obviously, then we got to probably do some larger increases or transfer some money from a different fund, or I guess, or something. I don't know, maybe not the general fund, or I guess, but it's one of those. Like I said earlier, some places tax for some places you could subsidize through the general fund, I guess, too, or whatever. So,
And I
You're
think
comfortable if it gets down to 43 after
yeah, I'm at least good until we're going for that new contract in August of 25, which we'll
Right.
probably have to be talking about earlier in 2025. And then we'll have to see if we're down at like 30, 40, 50,000. And if the rate goes where now, instead of it being $17 a quarter, it's $21 a quarter. Hope it doesn't go up that much or something, but that's going to be the big driver, I guess. So.
Right. Yeah.
How many? I'm sorry.
Oh, I said, no, go ahead.
How many players are in the waste management
Yeah, that's
field?
Oh, not many. I know they just, was it Republic, just asked Renee here recently as far as when our contract's up.
I think
I see.
Public
Yeah,
Waste
so-
Management
And
That's a
Yeah.
and
Everybody's buying everybody.
Yeah,
so
I know.
The
There's
two
only-
big conglomerates are buying everybody
There's
else.
only like 2 or 3 now.
Your Republic's fine.
yeah, there used to be
Garbage will.
we used to have 5 garbage haulers in the city, now we're down. Yeah, we're down to a couple few or whatever.
Right.
So there's some competition.
Still 4.
Not
At least
much
one.
though. Not
Republic.
much. Yeah. Republic Waste Management, I
Well, and
think.
when this contract's up, then we can get a quote from
Right.
both of them.
Yeah.
and see
Yeah.
how it sounds.
I would just do one
Just
for
do one.
now, and yeah.
So, okay, yeah, we should, we're good the next year or two. It'll be interesting. Yeah, we can worry about that in 2025, I guess, or whatever. So, all right. And then I guess the last item, and this one is not a user fee. So, well, let me take that back. It's not a fee that we put in our fee schedule. Is that maybe a better way to put it? So,
Yeah, right.
so this one should be easier. I more just wanted to bring this to show. It is one of our enterprise funds we have, and we do need to adopt a budget for it. But wanted to more just show that we I think did our purpose in our what we were looking to do with the Midco project and expanding broadband. But some of the fund balance we had built up over the years with the franchise fees, about 50,000 or so, was now we've spent that down.
Yeah.
So basically, I think we're going to be somewhere, if you look at the budget page on page 14, somewhere between 40 to 60,000, over the next couple of years or whatever for a fund balance. Obviously, that depends on. I brought the franchise fee revenue down a little bit in 24 just based on
Because
more
yeah.
people I think are not using that anymore. One item we have done, we sort of bumped up salaries for a while based on with some of the more additional time people were spending with the Midco project and different things. I guess, we could bring that back a little bit and allocate a little less salary or, payroll time to the cable fund. So that would be one way to.
Okay, so let's go into that.
Okay.
I had in my head that Allie's position was being paid for out of here as a temporary thing, and that she was going to come back into the full staff budget.
I want to say it was more a few years ago, and even before the Midco project. I think it was more like
Before the Midco project.
that there should be some staff time, sort of with gearing up with some projects and things, and just knowing that some of the communication stuff and some of those things are maybe related, or at least somewhat related to this type of
Right.
fund. So
But she does a lot more than that.
Oh, yeah,
She's a lot more valuable than that. And so I don't understand why she's still in this. I don't understand why.
Well, some
It's
of
just
her.
allocating some of it.
it's a
not
portion,
all.
yeah, and it's
a
actually
portion.
it's a portion of I think her time, as well as I think even Darcy, our friend. I mean, so I think there's a couple different staff that are
Yeah.
allocated
Okay, so
there.
The point is that necessary, or can she be folded back in?
We probably could fold more back into the general fund if we wanted.
We don't
to,
have to
whatever.
use any of this
Yeah, yeah,
for salaries, but it helps offset our general fund
Yeah,
and,
that was-
our general levy and our levy amount.
What else could we use the money for?
Because we need Jasper. Go.
Oh, well, so if
Yeah.
The camera.
for the cameras, so the PEG fees we can only use those for like capital,
Right.
but the franchise fees we can use for whatever we choose. So the PEG fees are the only thing that are regulated. The franchise fees are open to whatever we choose.
So what's the ramification? We fold Ally back into the staff budget, and then that gave us $93,000 for the camera stuff, right?
Except we didn't want to spend that kind of money on camera stuff.
No, we don't have to, but the point is we have it. And so what's the ramification? What's the downside?
The money would be 50,000 against the general fund. Would be the trade off.
Okay. is
That's
that-
another point. That's another percentage
That's the levy.
increase.
Yeah, so that's sort of been where
Yeah.
the rationale for even. I mean, there is time spent there, so it's just a matter of is it now back to where maybe it's 25,000 versus 50,000? That would probably be maybe the step to go, I guess. Or
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
should we maybe do that? Or
Yeah.
so? Or I don't know.
But that,
Right.
again,
But
that will increase our levy.
Correct.
So maybe what we should be doing is maybe next year for the 2025 budget, we should start ramping that down.
Okay.
I would say this year, because we have such a huge increase already, I hate to increase it even more. We're trying to reduce it, remember?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
But I think
Okay, that's
for
fine.
the 2025 budget, let's look at that and see if we shouldn't be, because it's going to disappear at some point.
Yeah, we
So,
should be ramping it down anyways
Yeah.
because we're not going to keep
Yeah.
getting $50,000.
right.
Who knows what will happen in 3 years? I don't
Correct,
know.
yeah.
5 years in the contract.
I get a question, Brad. Does some of her salary come out to the water and sewer fund? Because she does a lot of communication stuff through that and a lot of our posting. I mean, is that something that's viable? Does it, some of it, like Mike's comes out of there, and our sewer guy, but I mean, could some of that come out of there to help offset some of this through the enterprise funds? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there to.
Salary, too.
Tree fund.
I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, if you don't want to hit a hard hit on the general fund, I mean, you could take some allocation out of that, like we do for the other guys, and stuff. So I'm just throwing it out there.
You
So.
just have to look at it globally, probably. Just we are. Yeah, I mean, obviously the last few.
Either that, or she's getting fired. I want to keep her around. So.
But okay, so keep it the same for 24, but then 25 look to
Yeah.
ramp that. No, that's good. Good valid point.
And I think, to Gary's point, that might also be a consideration for 2025 at least.
Dedication.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
And
All right,
that's all I had.
and then, let's see, is that it?
We'll close that.
Cable fund, and now So we're going to go into closed session at this time, and this is pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05, Subdivision 3B, and it's to discuss the city's options to participate in multi-district lawsuit class settlements entitled NRE. Okay. Aqueous Film Forming Foams Products Liability Litigation, United States District Court, District of South Carolina, Charleston Division, etc. Do I have to say all of those things?
Yes.
I do. All right. Charleston Division MDL number 218MN 2873 RMB City of Camden et al. Versus 3M Company case number 223 CV 03147 RMG City of Camden et al. VEI DuPont de Nemours, oh gosh, and Company, why can't it be in German? Et al. Case number 223 CV 0320 RMG. That's it. And who's going to be, do I have to list the people that will be in the closed session?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, there should be a motion and a second to go into closed session.
Okay, is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Vickery. And then all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. So we are going to go into closed session. And then do you need to know who's going to be in closed session?
Madam Mayor, we don't record the closed session for attorney-client privilege.
Okay.
So there's really no need to state that
Okay.
for any record
All right.
purposes.
We are back in open session now. We just discussed with our attorney and staff the options that were before us regarding this class action lawsuit. Do I need to say what? Okay, that's it. So with that, motion to adjourn the work session.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Vickery. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Refkin. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned until 7 o'clock.